Let's open with prayer. Almighty God in heaven, as we consider the date of the Sunday, Lord, I pray you'll help us to be objective and not subjective, and just to consider the facts and the figures. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so I've made my case for November the 5th. I know it's brief, but that's basically all I have. But in all of these meetings, around, in all the different ministries, I've been asked to present 2 parts. So I think in trying to prove your case, I think it's okay to try and disprove other people's cases. For example, if this was 1888 and you were asked to go and speak about Sabbath, seventh day, you would probably have to answer all the first day, Sunday texts. And prove that Sunday can't be Sabbath. So I think the most popular date is July 18th. But I'll also be covering January 20th because I've also heard that one. Yeah, I think is correct. I think Elena from Germany is saying Sunday law is January 20th. I think. As far as I can tell, I think someone else is saying it's the end of the Ukraine war. So I'll cover those, and if I'm wrong, it wouldn't make any difference. So I'll try to disprove those dates. And if no one is claiming one of those dates, it doesn't make any difference.
오늘까지는 해보죠.
Prove it's wrong. Show you it's wrong. Okay, so I'll start. The Sunday law is the mark of the beast. I'm going to say that 100 times today. Okay, the Sunday law and the mark of the beast are completely synonymous. Same thing. Ellen White says the Sunday law is the mark of the beast. So to discover when the Sunday law is, you have to study the story of the mark of the beast. If you can't tell me what the mark of the beast is, on whichever date you prefer, then you don't have a Sunday. Okay, shout out if there's any questions or not clear. Okay, so other things happen at.
Can you hear me? I think it was my question that I sent you, and also it was a question during the break from someone from the group that we thought that at Boston we don't really see this, like where people are really deciding should be at Exeter. That was our understanding of the Sunday law. Do you understand my question?
Sorry, can you repeat just the English? Because the English is very faint and the translation was over it.
Yes. The question is that it's mine and also one person from the group that we understand that at Boston, we don't really see big things. And the place where people are really deciding should be at Exeter. That's where we would place where people decide what mark they are getting.
I'll try and repeat it because it's good for me to try and understand. Okay, so you're saying that Sunday law is an unsealing. Is that correct? Is that correct? Monica?
Yes, yes.
And then you have increase of knowledge and formalization. Which is also Exeter. And it's only at Exeter that we understand what Sunday law was?
It's at Exeter that people are really choosing the mark.
Okay, so I'll answer. So it's at Exeter that people are only really choosing the mark of the beast. Okay, so I'm going to answer that by saying there's two groups. First the church and then the world. And this formalization is the loud cry to God's people in the world. Let's use the 1888 model, Sunday or Sabbath. In the 1888 time period, the church knows that Sunday is the mark of the beast all through here. And the church knows that Sabbath is the seal of God from the very beginning. And of course, they know it, they don't forget it, they know it all the way to the end. So I know that's 1798. That's not my point. What I mean is they know it long before Sunday. In 1844, I think they had the Sabbath truth. This would be 1888. So let's be technically accurate. It would look like that. But the world is only told the message at the loud cry. Loud cries to the Nephilim. You can see the loud cry starts at Sunday morning. So the Sunday law is passed in Congress. From that day onwards, you and I can go to anyone we like, our family and friends. And we can say, don't keep Sunday, it just became the mark of the beast. It wasn't the mark of the beast before, by the way. And then Ellen White says it starts at Sunday law and swells to a loud cry, grows. So we're not going to the world or even the Levites. So for you and me, we need to know when the Sunday law is. Definitely now, because we're already after Sunday law. As we've already seen, you get time at this formalization. And I know Elder Tess did retire. We should have got the date of the Sunday law after January 6th. So then I'll line up January the 6th with 1844 on that model. January 6th and 1844. Okay. Technically, it's not correct, but my only point is here they knew the seventh day was Sabbath. Yeah, I've messed up. I've crossed two different models. Sorry, can you just say that? Don't worry, because it was wrong. Anyway, let's just leave it there. Does that answer your question? I've got a bit mixed up, sorry. Okay,
so is your answer that we as God's people have to know the beginning? So from the beginning, we can be telling the people and then they choose at the loud cry. Is that your answer?
So is my answer that we're meant to know when the Sunday law is, you said from the beginning, I'm going to say from January 6th, before Sunday law, yes, because we're the church.
Yes, but how can the people choose at Boston? How can they make their decisions at Boston when the loud cry hasn't been given yet?
Okay, how can the people make their choice at the unsealing when the message is just being unsealed? We don't know. Okay, so this unsealing increase of knowledge and formalization is a message about this way, Mark. You can prove that from any dispensation.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that, but because
I know what you're saying.
Sorry.
I know what you're saying. I'm going to get there. Okay, increase the knowledge formalization test. We've seen that already in this dispensation. For example, this loud cry is when you get time and when you get time of close of probation. If you're saying if the people don't know what the mark of the beast issue is until here, how can they be given the mark of the beast here? And the answer comes in two parts. They also have external prophets' messages. January 6th told them Trump is a dictator. And that he's also anti-LGBT. I don't mean on January 6th, but they also know he's anti-LGBT already. And he's for the Christian right. So we know he thinks, man is the head of the household, etc. So the world already knows he's a patriarchal dictator. That's the first part. The second way of answering that is the mark of the beast is a corporate model. A group model, a model of a big group. It doesn't consider the individual person. Same as the model of the Levites and the Nephilim. The Levites had to join our movement to be saved. But just because there's no group of Levites doesn't mean individual Seventh-day Adventists can't be saved. So using the 1888 model again, you can keep Sunday here and get the mark of the beast as an individual. And then you can hear the message and change your mind and keep Sabbath. As an individual, you can be sealed and saved. It doesn't say that in Revelation 13 because it's only describing the group model. Sorry. Does that make sense? Is that okay, Monica?
If I have to be honest, not totally.
Can't hear you. Speak up. Speak louder.
Yeah, I think I'm not totally happy with the answer, if I have to be honest.
Yeah, you should be honest. That's good. Can you tell me what you mean?
Basically, what you're saying is that those people who voted for Trump already received the mark of the beast, correct?
Yes.
And they can still change their mind during the loud cry.
Yes. So I'll just repeat. So the question, well, you're just repeating what I'm teaching. That you receive the mark of the beast at Sunday law, but you can change your mind and be saved until Daniel 12. That truth is 200 years old or whatever. It's in the Great Controversy. That's why Ellen White says this is the close of probation, not this. She says this is your final test by which your eternal destiny is decided. And depending on how you react to that test, you're either sealed or not.
My problem is that in Revelation it says if you worship, if you worship the image, you will receive the mark. So you first have to be informed about what you can receive the mark, and then you receive it. That's my understanding.
Okay, so Revelation 13 says, if you receive the mark of the beast, you're lost.
No, if you worship the image, you will receive the mark of the beast.
Therefore, you have to be informed before you receive the mark.
Yes.
But that's not what Ellen White teaches. She says you get the mark of the beast is the Sunday law. I've got several quotes. Then the loud cry starts and people can still change individuals until Daniel 12:1.
Okay.
So I can't argue with Ellen White or our message. Our line shows that.
Maybe if you send me the quotes, I look into this again. Okay.
Sorry?
Maybe if you can send me the quotes and I look into this again.
It's just a great controversy from chapter 38 at least. Start earlier if you want.
Okay.
So that's basic great controversy. When you said send you the quotes, have you not read that before or understood it that way?
I mean, I think my understanding was never like you receive the mark of the beast and then you change your mind and you unreceive it. Like this was not my understanding. My understanding was that things are happening and you get the information. If you do this, you receive the mark of the beast. Like I never looked at it that way. Like you receive it and then you can unreceive it later.
Do you want to translate that? So I'll repeat what I think. Yeah. So I said, this is just basic great controversy, surface reading. And the person said they have read great controversy, but they never saw that before. That you can receive the mark of the beast and then unreceive it. Okay. There's lots of things I've read 100 times and still didn't see what was right in front of me. So. Okay, shout out if there's any other questions, otherwise I'll carry on. Okay, so the Sunday law is the mark of the beast. Lots of other things happen at the mark of the beast. But they are not the mark of the beast. So to find out what the Sunday law is, you need to study the story of the mark of the beast. Other stories that coincide with mark of the beast is the king of the north versus the king of the south. And at the mark of the beast waymark, you get the death of the king of the south. You also get the beginning of the seventh head or kingdom. Of Revelation 17. You get the outpouring of the latter rain. Laodicea, fully passed by. Fully passed by. Shut door. In other words, it's the shut door for the Adventist church. Again, that's a corporate model. Individual Seventh-day Adventists can be saved all the way till Daniel 12. Okay, so to discover when the mark of the beast is, you wouldn't research these other stories that happen at the mark of the beast. You wouldn't. So, for example, you wouldn't start looking at what the Adventist church is doing. You think they've done something that shows they're passed by. Shut door. And the date they do that thing, you say that must be the Sunday law. Okay. Does all that make sense? Didn't explain it very well, I know. So in order to discover the Sunday law waymark, you have to be able to tell me how the people get the mark of the beast. So if you say the death of the king of the south was January the 10th or something, then I'm going to say on January the 10th, how did the people get the mark of the beast? Okay, so the Bible says you can get the mark of the beast in your hand or your forehead. In your forehead, you just believe. I'll say that Trump should be president. But you could say that about July 18th or January 20th, so that doesn't count. It doesn't help us discover when the Sunday law is. So on July 18, November 5th, or January 20, people could believe Trump should be president. So it doesn't help us discover which one is correct. But Elder Parminder teaches the part is not the whole. You've got to look at the whole story, not just a part of it as well. To get the mark of the beast in the hand requires a physical action. So I'm saying by voting for Trump, physical action, on November 5th is getting the mark of the beast. If you really believe it, you get it in the forehead. If you're just going along with the church, your family, or your friends, don't really believe it. And when you vote for Trump, you get it in the hand. But on July 18th or January 20th, probably on whatever date this person comes up with, death of the King of the South, the ordinary people aren't doing anything. It's the ordinary people that get the mark of the beast in the hand. Revelation 13 says, everyone, rich and poor, free and bond. And everyone in America could vote if they wanted on November the 5th. Okay, any questions? Because I'm just preempting some questions on that.
I have a question again. Sorry.
No, good. Necessary.
So with receiving mark of the beast, in Revelation there is a threat, like if you don't do it, you will be punished in a certain way. So
oh, sorry.
It's okay.
You're
Tomasz
right.
is translating.
In Revelation 13.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure if you actually have to translate me now if I'm on your channel now. It's only when I was on Slovak channel translating you, but maybe I think now I will be heard on the video, so you don't have to repeat me, I think. Okay, so how do you see this threat happening at the Sunday law? Like if you do not that you cannot buy and sell if you don't have this mark? That's my first question. I let Tomasz translate. And my second question is, we believe that this other group that don't receive the mark of the beast, they receive the seal of God.
You're saying, how do they receive the seal of God?
It doesn't say how, I think. I would have to look through the verses.
Are you asking me how?
No, my question is, like, if you now believe that those who didn't vote for Trump received the seal of God, because that's what would imply that those who voted for him received the mark. So those who didn't, did they receive the seal? Mm-hmm.
Did you mention something about being punished in the very beginning, or is that not?
Yeah, what I meant by punished, it says that Wait. Those who will not worship the beast will be killed, or yeah, and those who don't have the mark cannot buy and cannot sell. That's what I meant. I didn't know how to express it in English.
Can you say the bit about punishment again? You were very faint.
So those who didn't worship the image should be killed. I don't know if I translated correctly.
What verse?
It's Revelation 13:15.
We'll put persecution, shall we?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to start with how do you get persecuted for receiving the seal of God?
For not worshiping the beast, yes. Mm-hmm. The image of the beast.
For not worshiping the beast.
Mm-hmm. For not worshiping the image of the beast. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we teach now in our dispensation, that this isn't going to happen. Okay, we say the Great Controversy says God's people keep the Sabbath and you get persecuted. You get fined, you go to prison, or you get martyred. But for several years now, we've taught that's not going to happen in our dispensation. Okay. So then I'm going to say this can't happen in our dispensation either. No buying and selling. In our dispensation, you would not be able to disenfranchise someone. You wouldn't be able to stop them from buying or selling. For example, our message, it also says we give the loud cry to the world. We know that's not going to happen either, even though it's right in Scripture. Okay, does that answer those two questions? It's not going to happen. Monica?
Yeah, I'm here. Right now, I don't have any more arguments, but I can't say that I got my answer, but I think I have to go back to this for myself.
Okay, so how do you get the seal of God? I'm going to say, I don't know. Anyone that knows me knows I can't innovate or figure things out for myself. But the best I can do is just a plain compare and contrast model. think you said this already. If you vote for Trump, you get the mark of the beast. So if you vote for someone else, Harris or whoever, you get the seal of God.
Is that what you believe?
So I know there's problems with that. Did you have questions to come back to?
Yeah, I wanted to know if that is what you believe, that those who voted for Harris will get seal of God.
So I'll say like 99% I do believe that. If you vote for Harris, you get the seal of God. But don't be surprised if in the future Elder Parminder says, that can't be true, because I'm not exactly sure. Like one day you might say all of this can't be true. By the way, that brings up an interesting point. In the prayer I said, let's please be objective, not subjective. Let's not let our feelings get in the way. And recently someone asked me, what would you do if you were proven wrong about everything? November 5th. And I said I would immediately issue a public apology. And then I'd spend maybe 2 or 3 presentations teaching why I was wrong, where I went wrong, how I went wrong. But I wouldn't let my feelings get involved and get angry or sad, or, and that would affect my decision. So I would probably be a bit sad, to be honest. But I wouldn't let my feelings affect my behavior or my decision. Okay. So if you believe July 18th, you have to tell me how the people get the mark of the beast on July 18th. And I'm going to say, I've thought about this for so long now. At this stage, I think it's impossible. Because the ordinary people weren't doing anything on July 18th. And even the important people, the 1,200 delegates at the RNC, they weren't voting. So if you're going to say, so Elder Parminder has said that voting is the Sunday law. He didn't actually say it was as a fact. He said there's a consensus in the movement that it's voting. And all that happened on July 18th is the delegates from all the different areas, They show up and they just tell you how their area voted. No, how their area has already voted. So in the months before July 18, all the people vote all the Republicans vote who they want to be their candidate for presidency. And then on July 18, those 1,200 delegates just show up and they say, my area voted for Trump. And then the next delegate says, my area voted for Trump, etc. Okay. Also on August 20th, the ordinary people didn't do anything. So I've given you a plain thus saith the Lord. Now I'm going to give you evidence from our message. I'm going to say that our most important doctrine is line upon line. All three messengers used it prolifically. Lots and lots, lots and lots, to a great extent. And each Sunday law waymark on every line that we have the mark of the beast or the seal of God requires a physical action. I'll go through the lines chronologically. In the time of Noah, you either get on the ark or you don't. In the Alpha of ancient Israel, the Israelite army took the city of Ai. Ai, it would be the same. You don't need to translate because it's the name. Ai. Physical action. In the Omega of ancient Israel, 34 AD is the Sunday law waymark. And you had to take the gospel to the Gentiles. Physical action. In the Alpha of modern Israel, 1850 is the Sunday law waymark. And to get the mark of the beast, you had to return an escaped slave. In 1850, to get the mark of the beast, if a slave escapes, you have to send them back to their master. In the 1888 model, you keep Sunday. So if you're going to believe July 18 or January 20, or whenever the Ukraine war ends, you're saying that our line is the only one that doesn't require a physical action. Which means you have to tell me why you're contradicting about 5 lines. Our most important doctrine, which is backed up by a plain "Thus saith the Lord," if you can't explain why we would be the only exception, then I'm afraid you have to agree that I think November the 5th is the only can. Any question? Any questions?
I agree with you on this point. But I basically have the same question. And that is about the Sunday law being a law. Because in previous dispensations, we would show that it was a law you had to act upon, and now we're breaking the law, the rule.
So in the time of Noah, it wasn't a law. Alpha and Omega of ancient Israel, it wasn't a law. So it's not a rule which is set in stone. Only the 1850 and 1888 model is a law.
Yes, but we only apply this to I believe to the end time, like, because we take it as a law from Revelation. You know, the image.
Revelation doesn't
speaking.
say it's a law.
No, it doesn't. That's our application. Ellen White's application, we would say. Yeah.
Okay, so for several years now, Elder Parminder has said it's not going to be a law. I think that goes back to 2020, he started to say that, maybe. I can't really remember. So you'd have to go back and watch his presentations. I'm not going to start presenting that now. But that's why Ellen White says, that's why Ellen White says that it's the legislative and judicial branches that pass the Sunday law. Because in her time, it was a law. And the legislative and judicial passed laws. She doesn't mention the executive branch, the White House. But we say the White House has to be taken for there to be a Sunday. And we've said that since we've been teaching it's not going to be a law for that reason. By the way, on July 18th, Trump nowhere near took the White House. So July 18th contradicts that well-established doctrine in our movement. Okay, any questions? Please? I don't believe July 18th is Sunday. That's wrong. Sunday law is the mark of the beast. And you can't receive the mark of the beast on July 18th in the hand. There wasn't a Republican in the hand. There wasn't a Republican president hadn't taken the White House. At Sunday law, the seventh kingdom begins. And the seventh head of Revelation 17 says that the US dictates over the United Nations. That's how Elder Tess used to draw it. So if on July 18th you're saying it's Sunday law, when Biden was in the White House, you're saying Biden is the dictator of Bible prophecy. On July 18th, Biden is dictating over the United Nations. And we know that's not true. Right? Okay, and then there's a third reason why July 18th can't be true. Before I move on to that, any questions?
Já se chci zeptat,
No,
tak já se chci zeptat, takže znamení šelmy se týká jenom USA, není to celosvětová záležitost?
Okay, so we get that model from the 1888 model.
Sorry, Aaron. Now, because they were speaking into Slovak channel, it will not be an English video. So I will translate her question if it's okay. Tomáš, ja budem prekladať tie otázky, aby to bolo v angličtine dobre. So she was asking if the mark of the beast is not the whole world issue, if it just concerns USA.
Okay, so the 1850 model never was going to go around the whole world. It's only the 1888 model where Ellen White says the Sunday law will go around the world. And even then, Elder Tess taught she didn't mean the whole world. She meant the Christian world. Even in 1888, Saudi Arabia was never going to pass a Okay. So I'm okay with the concept of the Sunday law going around the world in art. Okay. But I have no idea how it would happen or how it would look. Because if this is patriarchy and fall of democracy, we have patriarchal cultures probably in every country of the world. I think basically Elder Tess taught. You could say that goes back to Eden if you want, not 2024. And other countries had dictatorships, democracies before 2024 as well. That was just a long way of saying I don't know. As I said, I can't figure things out for myself. Okay, I'll move on to this part now, because that was the mark of the beast.
I think there was one more person who wanted to ask something. Peťo, ty si niečo ešte
Oh, go
chcel?
ahead, please.
No, já jsem se chtěl zeptat, nebo jsem chtěl říct, že mě by nevadilo, že v roce, nebo že toho 18. června ještě prostě sedí Biden jako prezident, protože tam teprve ten nedělní zákon začíná, ta rostlinka ještě není vidět podle zemědělského modelu. Tam ještě nic není vidět, tam to začíná. Takže i když tam nevolí všichni a i když ještě Biden sedí v tom křesle prezidenta, tak je to teprve počátek toho nedělního, je to teprve zasazení. Jaký má to názor?
I think his question is similar to what we asked before, but I will repeat. So he's saying that he wouldn't mind if it's July 18 because that's where you don't really see things. It's only the beginning of things, so it doesn't have to be that everybody is deciding and something that everybody votes about, because it's only the beginning that's not really seen. What is your answer to that?
Two things. How do you get the mark of the beast on July 18?
Mm-hmm. No je to taky teprve jako začátek. Ještě to není vidět prostě. Ale už se rozhoduju. Já se rozhoduju tak nebo tak. Já to vidím. Celý svět měl možnost vidět to, co se dělo toho 18. června. Všichni to měli ve zprávách. 18. července, no.
He says it's also only the beginning. Like, I'm starting to form my decision now. All the world could have seen what happened on July 18 on their news.
Told you I was going to say this 100 times. If you don't have a mark of the beast, you don't have a Sunday law. They're exactly the same. In essence, what you actually just said, whether you realize it or not, is this is a Sunday law during the agitation. I'm okay with that. Elder Parminder has already taught this before. But he said, just like 1989 is the time of the end, single way marks, he says, we're discussing what is this single way mark. That way mark requires a mark of the beast. This is the shipwreck of democracy. That ship in Acts 27 represents the whole of America. What happened on July 18th only happened to half of America, the Republican Party. So you have to tell me, how did you get the mark of the beast on July 18th to move it to here? Why are you applying the ship of Acts 27 to half of America only? Why are you applying the ship? Why are you applying the ship of Acts 27 to half of America only? Okay, the next thing's in two. And then you said this was the start. And you want to move, you're saying the start should be Sunday law. It's not even the start. You can't even use that argument. Because this was a much bigger fall of democracy than July 18 was. You'd have to say that was actually the start, but we know that's not the Sunday law. But you can ignore 2 out of 3 of those impossible questions if you like. Because I'm only going to insist an answer to one of them. We could probably say it all together now. I've said it so many times. How did you get the mark of the beast in your hand on July 8th? Feel free to answer. You might have an answer to those 3 questions, do you?
So I think this is the point where I said I have to go back and look at things again, because I wait for Thomas to translate. Because my understanding is that you get the mark of the beast at the loud cry, or once you receive the information, not at the beginning. That's my understanding until now. So that would be my answer.
Okay.
But
SDA Bible Commentary 7. SDA Bible Commentary, Volume 7. Page 977. Sunday keeping is not yet the mark of the beast. And it will not be until the decree, the law, goes forth. Causing everyone to worship this idol Sabbath. So she's saying, when the Sunday law goes forth, that's the mark of the beast. That's probably the clearest one without going through paragraphs. But I've got about half a dozen. I'll just do one more, 2 witnesses. Evangelism 235. Okay, she's talking and she says, if you keep Sunday, you receive the mark of the beast. When does this take place? When you obey the decree of the law. Lost my place. When you obey the decree that commands you to cease from labor on Sunday. And then you receive the mark of the beast. So, okay, is that okay? Or you'll go back and study it yourself anyway. Just so I point you in the right direction. Okay, now I haven't even got to this part yet, which means if you want me to do it, it means we're probably going to go a bit over time. Is that okay?
How much longer do you think it would be?
Shall I just present it without taking questions? See how long that takes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, or you have a different idea?
No, I think you can. We'll stop asking questions, so at least we know. Oh, yeah, what
Yeah.
your thinking is. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to look at the name Quintus, because I think that's the only way we get July. We teach Quintus means the 5th month, July, something like that. And actually, I am going to ask a question because I don't know the answer. Sorry. I'm going to ask one question now. Is that the only way we get July, or is there a second witness? Does anyone know of a second witness to get July? If not, I'll take it that that's the only way. Okay. So I want to tell you where I'm going before, because it's easier to follow. So Elder Tess made a mistake. When she placed Quintus Gurgis Maximus at Sunday law, she made a mistake. And I'm going to show you that the name Quintus doesn't even go at Sunday law. Okay. So when she does it on the 24th of September 2018, she reads Navies of Rome by Michael Tess. Navies of Rome, Ships of Rome. By Michael Pitessi. And she just reads one sentence. It just says something like diplomatic relations between Egypt and Rome, 273 BC. And then she says, therefore, Egypt to Rome, 273 BC. In other words, increase of knowledge in the harvest of the Levites. Then she switches to A.T. Jones's book. And A.T. Jones is just quoting an author called Rowling. So we'll go to A.T. Jones's source, Rowling. Which therefore is Elder Tess's source. Okay, so this is exactly what Elder Tess is reading. Basically, it says the reputations of the Romans was now spreading. Because they beat Pyrrhus. And then Ptolemy Philadelphus, that's Egypt, sent ambassadors to Rome. And then you'll see a star, which is for the footnote. Now, apparently the mistake Elder Tess made which Elder Tess made was to not go down to the footnote. Because you can see the star at the bottom. And it says Ant JC. Yeah. And that's just their way of saying before Christ. It actually reads ante Jesus Christ, before Christ. So Elder Tess's source is saying Egypt to Rome 274 BC. So then when you go to the next paragraph after the star, it says Rome to Egypt following year. Then you can see a cross. And then it mentions Quintus Fabius Gurgis. So Elder Tess's source says Quintus goes in 273 BC. (273) is not Sunday. It's the increase of knowledge. 272 BC is Sunday law. Argos, death of Pyrrhus. Argos, 272 BC. Okay, so what Tess's source says is 274 BC, Rome to Egypt. And is that right? No, Egypt to Rome is first, sorry. What Elder Tess's source says is Egypt to Rome, 274 BC. And then Rome to Egypt, which is Quintus, 273 BC. So that's the mistake that Elder Tess made. So you can see Quintus doesn't even go at 272 BC Sunday law. According to Elder Tess's source, Quintus goes here. So if you're going to say Quintus is a symbol for July, you're going to have to say it's July in this year, whatever year that is. Okay, so that's what Tess's source says. This is what Tess says by mistake. Egypt around 273 BC. Rome to Egypt 272 BC. Okay, any questions up until there? And then I've got a little bit more and I'm finished. Okay, so we'll go, I'm trusting everyone understands because that's very important. Because now you have 0 witnesses for July 18. The very way we get July 18 is false. Okay, so now I'm going to look at Rollins' sources. One says live, and that's the Roman historian Livy. Livy, Roman historian. living. The next one says eutrop. And that's the historian Eutropius. The next one says Val Max. And that's Valerius Maximus. I'm writing them on the board. And the last one is Dion. And that's the historian Dionysus. Now, you can go to all of those references that Rowling uses, and none of them say this. None of them say it happened over 2 years. None of them mention 274 BC. So I don't know where Rowling even got that from. It sounds like Rowling made an assumption that it happened over the course of 2 years. But that's fine. You can still believe Rowling, because it still places Quintus at 273. Okay, so there's a lot of people in the movement that have been studying this. And as far as I know, what everyone has found, including me, is that every single other historical source therefore that's what I believe, says Egypt to Rome 273 BC and Rome to Egypt 273 BC. And Ellen White tells us to go with the weight of evidence. So personally, I believe this one. But we only care about if Quintus can go at Sunday law or 273. So it doesn't actually matter if you believe me or Tess's source. Because they both say Quintus goes at 273, not Sunday. Okay, so I'll just reiterate, I'll say again, my point is your only argument for July doesn't even go at Sunday. I think you said there's no other witness for July. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. Any questions? Should I send them to Monica on WhatsApp after the presentation? Okay. By the way, even Usher is one of the historians that says 273, 273. Okay, any questions? Was it clear or not too clear to anyone?
My only question remains, if we put Quintus on 273, what is the application of it then?
I'm going to say nothing. I don't believe you can use a name to time set. We've never used a name to time set in the 35 years we've been going. And the one time we tried, you can see it's proven error, basically.
Well, if it goes on to 73, then it wouldn't have time setting characteristic because 273 is increase of knowledge, not formalization.
Exactly. Yeah. And when Elder Tess put maximum flood there, when Elder Tess put maximum gurges, maximum flood at Sunday law, by mistake. She didn't make any application. So you can guess like I can guess. But I believe if she was here today, she would just say, oh, sorry, just ignore that bit. I made a mistake. And I can't draw any meaning from that name, so ignore it. Anything? Yeah. Okay, does that make sense? Any other questions? Okay, I'll just take 2 minutes to summarize. If there's still no questions, I'll close. We saw, even though it was very inconvenient for the test, difficult. Even though it's very difficult for Elder Tess, she insisted on forcing January the 6th into the formalization. And at formalization, you get time setting and you know how the Sunday law looks. She saw an attack on democracy by Trump and his voters over a presidential election on January 6th. So she knew the Sunday law was November 5th, next presidential election. And Trump would win. And that would be the whole of America shipwrecked, not half. Then I said, there's no other candidate that you can receive the mark of the beast in your hand except November. That's an essential that you have to answer. Because the mark of the beast is the Sunday. And then your only witness for July 18 is actually an error, which means you have 0 witnesses getting to July 18. Okay, if you want me to clarify anything or have any questions.
Já mám několik otázek.
I have several questions.
Jedna je Daniel 3. kapitola,
One is Daniel 3,
kdy se vlastně soše klaní v podstatě vedení.
where to this statue, those who are bowing is leaders or rulers, we can say.
Mně toto přijde jako svědek.
I find this as a witness.
Druhá věc. Ty se soustředíš na nedělní zákon jako jeden bod v čase.
Second thing,
Oh, can I answer them one at a time?
můžem to postupně zodpovědět?
Okay.
Parables have their limitations. Daniel 3 is a parable, not a plain thus saith the Lord. Revelation 13 says you can get it in your hand. Which requires a physical action. Line upon line shows physical action. Daniel 3 is a parable with limitations. Daniel 3 is a parable with limitations. So it doesn't cover the mark of the beast completely, all the aspects. Okay, so you can either respond to that or ask your second question.
Ano, já bych šla k tomu druhému. Zdá se mi, že se zaměřuješ na nedělní zákon jako na jeden bod v čase.
I have a feeling that I would go to the second one now if I can. I have a feeling that you are focusing on the Sunday law just as a point and not on a period.
Ano, já si myslím, že je to pro nás především tou periodou.
I understand it to be mainly the period.
Já souhlasím s tím, že nedělní zákon je znamení šelmy.
I agree that the Sunday law is the mark of the beast.
Ale nemůžu se stotožnit s tím, že znamení šelmy dostává v podstatě celá Amerika v jeden den najednou.
But I can't somehow identify with the thought that mark of the beast receives the whole America in one day at once.
Já nemůžu jakoby zdravou logikou přijmout to, že dostávám znamení na ruku tím, že vhodím volební lístek.
I somehow can't take this logic that I get the mark of the beast by handing in the voting paper.
Já věřím, že to celé nedělní zákon má svůj vývoj a že v podstatě my to znamení přijmeme až u zkoušky, což je hlasité volání.
I believe that the mark of the beast has its development and people are receiving it at the test, which is the loud cry.
Okay, I'll answer the second part to your question first. You can't believe it's a single date. I think you said that. In 1850, it would be. It would be, you can just Wikipedia whatever date the fugitive slave law was passed. In the 1888 model, it was a single date. If it had been a line of success, Sunday law would have been passed on a single day. And if you want to go back over those lines you mentioned, when the animals boarded the ark, it started on one day, just like a Sunday law would have started. If you want to go back to our lines, the animals would have boarded the ark starting on one day. The Israelites would have taken Ai starting on one day, within one day. (34 AD), Stephen was stoned on one day. So every single witness says one day. Okay, so I'm okay with it being one day. You're saying it just doesn't make sense that it's voting. So whatever date you think, July 18 maybe. What makes sense to you of the beast?
Mně to dává ten smysl, že na každého to přijde individuálně, tak jako si udál ten rok 1850 otroky.
My understanding is that it will come to each person's lives individually. Like, for example, when you were talking about 1850 and the slaves.
Řekněme, že teď utekl nějaký otrok z jihu na sever, řekněme v únoru, a on ho v únoru poslal zpátky na jih, někdo ze severu.
Let's say if in January some slave would escape from the south and then somebody from the north sends him back.
No, jiný otrok zase utekl třeba v červnu a někdo ze severu ho poslal zpátky v červnu.
And another slave runs away in May and the person sends him back in May.
A to byla ta jeho zkouška, toho jednotlivce.
And that's where those people are tested individually.
You're talking about this period here. I'm talking about this point here. On whatever day it was, the fugitive slave law was passed. On whatever day it would have been, the Sunday law was passed.
Can I say something to that?
And then you're correct. As the time goes by, each individual receives the mark of the beast. But you can also, each individual can repent until Daniel 12:1. So we've already covered the problems with a corporate model. It doesn't zoom in on the individual. It's not meant to. And then your other point was similar to this. I think Elder Pominder was in America, maybe December. And he said, you've got lots of Sunday laws during the agitation. And then you've got the time when you're in the Sunday law history. And you've got but we want to know what's this way, Mark. The Sunday law of Daniel 11:41. And he drew a comparison with time of the end. Just like you can, Ellen White says you can be, something happens at the time of the end, or something happens in the time of the end. Something happens during the time of the end, during the period. And he said, we want to look at this Sunday law like we want to look at this time of the end. Not this period when you're in the Sunday law. But we want to look at the Sunday law when you're at the exact state. So once you can understand that, I think it answers most of your questions, all in one.
Ano, ale ty přece máš sám tu zkušenost, že když začíná epocha, tak ty ještě o ní vlastně nic nevíš. Ty se ten milník dovíš až zpětně, ať je to třeba ta doba konce nebo nedělní zákon.
Yes, but you also have the experience that when the dispensation is starting, we don't really actually know about it. We only learn about it backwards.
Okay, so that's the repeating pattern, because the message is only unsealed here. But the message which is unsealed and increased in knowledge and then formalized is about this way, Mark. Everything we're meant to be learning in this history should be about this. Daniel 12. Sunday law is the unsealing of the message on Daniel 12. The unsealing at 2001 is when you don't know anything about Sunday law. But then at 2019, you get an increase of knowledge on what the Sunday law is going to be. (2019) feminism. And then at the formalization, that's when you know what the Sunday law will look like. Harminder teaches that. We teach you get time on the next waymark, Sunday law. This is the agitation, and you know what it'll look like. So you know everything you need to know in order to pass this test. Then you start again. At Sunday law, you don't really know anything about Daniel 12. So that anything else?
Ta epocha od roku 2021 po nedělní zákon ještě není zkouška nedělního zákona. To je zkouška té epochy 21 až nedělní zákon. Zkouška nedělního zákona začne až o epochu později.
So the dispensation from 2021 to Sunday law, that's not the dispensation of the test of the Sunday law. The dispensation of the test of the Sunday law only starts at the Sunday law.
It doesn't change that it's November 5th. We're fine with that model.
Can I ask you something?
Please.
So how does 1850 and 1888, how did people receive mark of the beast on that day when the decree went? If the time period went the way that we...
So because of the nature of these Sunday laws, oh, you need to translate, sorry, yeah. The 1888 model, to receive the mark of the beast in your hand, it would take you at least 6 days, maybe 7. Corporate model, individuals can change. Okay, and in 1850, you'd have to see if you come across an escaped slave. Yeah, you might not even come across an escaped slave ever. And that's, again, the problem with corporate models. They're different from dispensation to dispensation. But you have a plain thus saith the Lord from Ellen White. When the decree is passed, that's the mark of the beast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think this is the thing that I keep going around, and that's what I said I have to go back to. So I don't really want to argue back.
Okay. I don't know any other way to answer it, so I would just keep repeating this. I'd expect lots of good texts from you in the future.
Ale to je přece zkouška pro instituce, ne? To uzavření dveří u nedělního zákona. Ne pro jednotlivce.
The closing door at the Sunday law is the test for institutions, not for individuals.
So that makes November the 5th Sunday. Because on July 18th, only one institution fell. Republican Party, half of America. November the 5th, all the institutions fell. The whole of America voted for Trump. In other words.
Jak to? Vždyť mnozí volili Harrisovou. A to je moje druhá otázka, nebo jedna z otázek. Když teda ti, co volili Trumpa, získali znamení šelmy, tak nedává logiku, že ta druhá menší polovina, která volila Harris, získá boží pečeť.
To je Denny otázka, alebo to je komentár?
No, oboje. Co na to řekne?
So it was only half of the country that voted for Trump. So I don't know if we can say that all the institutions fell. And those that voted for Harris, then if those who voted for Trump receive mark of the beast, then those who voted for Harris receive God's seal. What do you say to that?
Yes, I tend to agree. If you're saying the institutions didn't fall on November 5th, that's what you just said. Then you're saying the institutions definitely didn't fall by July 18th. They're not even fallen by November 5th. Maybe you're waiting for the complete collapse of democracy at Daniel 12:1 then. I don't know. Then you're going to say that's Sunday. Sorry, too much. I don't even need to make that point. Basically, if you're saying the institutions aren't shipwrecked at November 5th, then you can't be saying that they were shipwrecked before November 5th, July 18th.
Já si myslím, že to vysvětlení nebo pochopení toho ztroskotání institucí poznáme až trochu později. To je jedna věc.
I think that we will get the understanding of the fall of institutions a little bit later. That's one thing.
No a druhá věc, podle mě se vůbec nedá souhlasit s tím, že ti, co volili Trumpa, získávají znamení šelmy a ti, kdo volili Harrisovou boží pečeť. Jestli jsem to teda dobře pochopila, tak to taky nedává logiku.
And I think it's not logical. I cannot agree that those who voted for Trump receive mark of the beast and those who voted for Harris receive seal of God.
I was changing headphones because the batteries ran out. Did I miss the beginning, or is that basically the point? You just can't accept it.
Yeah, she said she doesn't agree with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
No a volba Harrisové boží pečeti.
She doesn't agree that those who voted for Harris receive seal of the God seal. Sorry.
Anything else? Let me quickly respond to that, actually. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a question, so I wasn't going to answer it. Voting for Harris, if it is the seal of God, and I think it probably is, it's a corporate model. I think most of our problems have been because we haven't understood the difference. I think most of our problems today is because we're not differentiating between corporate model and individual. You could get an individual in America who's the most sexist, homophobic person in America, but they just vote for Harris because they're going to pay less tax under Harris. That individual doesn't get the seal of God, in my opinion. So there's other examples, but I'll leave it at that. How long was that meeting, that second meeting? How long was we?
More than 2 hours.
As soon as we close, I'm going back to bed.
Okay. We too, actually.
It's only, sorry?
We too, actually.
Yeah, it's late for you. It's early for me. It's only lunchtime.
Okay.
20 past 12. What time is it there?
It's 20 past 8.
I'm fast asleep by then, usually. Okay. You have to wake up early. Shall I close there? You can always contact me or you can invite me back. Shall I close there for now?
Mám to už uzavrieť? Môžete ma ešte, keď budete chcieť aj kontaktovať, alebo ma môžete pozvať znovu. I think we can close because it's been long.
Okay, let's say a quick prayer.
Tak sa pomodlím.
Almighty God in heaven,
Mocný Bože na nebi.
we pray you'll help us to be objective and not subject. And just follow the facts and the figures. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. I genuinely enjoyed it. Had a good time.